Now firstly, we've got a few studs like this, which have been completely eaten up by termites. On top of that, there's a few door jambs as well, which we're going to need to replace. Luckily though, it's not going to be too hard to fix the studs and change a few door jambs around. The worst problem we have though are these floorboards. The original goal was to keep these floorboards, and we're just going to go through and sand them back, making them look pretty. Unfortunately though, there's way too much termite damage. We can see some of these boards, my foot's gone all the way through just by walking over them. And there's so many more boards that look okay. And once you peel back the top of them, you can see there's so much termite damage below the surface. And the damage just isn't in one spot either. We've got this corner in the far side of the kitchen, and you can see how much those floorboards are crumbling apart. And all these boards here are ruined the entire way through to where we're missing massive holes over there. And if we make our way around to the front of the house, the same thing continues. And I wish I could say that was the worst thing, but sadly it's not. Whenever I walk back and forth through this point here, the entire floor has a bit of a bounce to it. I'm not sure if you can see how much movement is in the floor below me, but it looks like either the joists or the bearers where I am right now have also been eaten out by termites. So obviously we're gonna have to rip up all of this flooring, get rid of all of it, and then have a look at the subfloor and see how much damage there is and what we have to do to fix this mess. Oh shit. Far out, it looks okay on the outside there, but look how far down my chisel goes on the inside. If I move some of that stuff out of the way, I actually don't understand how this floor is still standing. That is completely rotted through. The actual worst thing about this is, as you can see before, the sides and the bottom of the timber look completely intact, and the access to under the house is on the other side of the house. So by the time I got up here, honestly, I was just glancing around looking for any visible damage, and this looks completely fine from underneath the house. And honestly, looking at how bad it is, I'm actually surprised I didn't go through the floor when I was jumping on it a second ago. This one's proper cooked. I think it's going to be a very long day of just ripping up these floorboards and seeing how much damage we have to repair. We'll come back to this in a second. What I'm going to do though is make a cut where that door is, and we'll start pulling up the floorboards from that side, making our way forward. That's good, at least we've got a couple joists here, and these ones look perfect, no damage at all. So far we've had a good start. All of these joists are completely fine, and we've got the central bearer in here too, and there's no signs of termite damage at all yet. So far so good. I'm feeling a lot better today doing this. When we're taking the tiles up, the damage just kept getting worse and worse. Whereas it seems like it's almost the other way around here. We saw the worst part first, and then after that, it's all been pretty good. Obviously, we're not done yet though, and we still have to make our way through to the laundry. Oh no. We got more bad news. I've got another joist here, and we got more termite damage. So what you can see here is that this joist has already been repaired. This is a new piece of F17 next to the old rotted away joist. So when I did buy this house, I knew there had been some termite damage before, and most of those areas were highlighted out to us. Stuff like this has been done. People have come through and fixed some of those areas where the termites have gotten to the house. And when we did buy this house, we thought all the termite damage had been fixed and there's going to be nothing else. This is a room that I'm most nervous about. Every single board in the laundry is either warped or completely ruined with termite damage. So I've got a feeling the subfloor below here is going to be ruined as well. Let's just jump into it and see what we got. Haven't found any damage yet, but we've got a few bits of new F17 laminated to the side of the joist. It's a bit weird how they haven't made the F17 go all the way through to the bearer. I'm thinking that these may have been some offcuts, and while they were under the house repairing all the joists, maybe they found a few more here, which they didn't want to go to the shops and buy more F17 for. So instead of making these new joists run all the way through to the bearer, which they should be doing, they've just put them to the side, shot them into the existing bearer, and hope for the best. So this is pretty much telling us that we are going to find some damage somewhere around here. There's actually no damage to these joists at all. And these ones here, they're not even shot on, these are just sitting in place. So there's actually a really high chance that maybe those floorboards there and that temp bit of flooring was actually done after the tiles. That also explains why none of those floorboards were shot on. We're making some progress. All of the floorboards are up now. All the joists are exposed. And in terms of damage, we're actually looking pretty good. The first two that we saw at the start, they're the only two that I think we have to fix. Before we even start looking at fixing these joists, I've got one more pretty crappy job I've got to do, and I've got to go over every single joist that we've just exposed and pull out all these nails which were holding the flooring down. And if you've ever done a demo or a renovation, you will know that nails into hardwood are a pain to pull out. And the reason that I want to go through and pull these nails out rather than go through and hit them down or even cut them with the recip is because I'm going to be going through with a straight edge, and we want to try to make the subfloor as straight and level as possible. I've just gone through and picked up some LVLs. These are the 90x45 LVLs that we're going to be using to replace the broken rotten joists. And to be honest, I think I might just be able to slide this straight in. Yeah, we can go in like that, that works. All right, now this is going to be a small issue, trying to stand the joist back up. We've got actually about 95mm in between the bearer and the bottom plate. Our new joist is 90mm, but once you go in the angle, from corner to corner, we're going to probably have, I'm guessing, 96 to 97mm. There's no way we can go from the outside of the house and slide it in, so I think we're just going to have to try bash it. And it's probably just going to dent the corner of this joist a little bit, just to get it in there, just so it fits. Shit, that's actually a bit of an issue. So the issue that we're having is, even though our joist is exactly 90mm long that way, when we go to rotate it, it's actually longer when you go on an angle and it's from that point to that point. If I measure that, that is about, 100mm. So what I might need to do is just go through the planer, plane off 5mm just on one side, And with that 5mm, it's going to be enough that we can actually roll the joist over, get it in place. And the 5mm that I plane isn't going to be in the same spot where it actually sits on the bearer. So once I roll the joist over and get it in, I can easily move it back and forth, and then we can slide it back to where it needs to go. And it's going to be sitting on the bearer at a point where it's completely 90mm. Let's give it a shot, it should work out. All right, I've got a saw here, so I'm just going to use a saw instead. And what I'm going to do is just drop it in, and we'll take 5, maybe even 6 or 7mm off. And let's just cut that out. All right, sweet. So now what we should be able to do is roll that cut over to the bearer, and that, yes, perfect. And now since it's in there, we can pick it up off with the cutters, and I can slide the other side in. Yeah, that works really well. That's good, that's exactly where we want it. The other issue we have with these joists though is the old timber hardwood is about 95mm, meaning that this is 5mm smaller than what the original joists are. So what I'm wanting to do is just leave this one for now. We're not going to shoot it off, because the last thing I want to do is go through and pack up 5mm on the top of it. What we'll do is put the other one in as well, and then when I go through to level and straighten the subfloor, I'm going to cut some blocks and pack up this joist by 5mm or whatever it needs, and we'll put those blocks between the bearer and the joist. I'm going to get rid of this temp bit of F17 that the old owners did, and we don't have to do any checkouts on this other joist because it's not sitting underneath a wall on this side. So let's spin it through there. Cool. And that, yeah, right. That joist on this side isn't even holding that wall up at all. We've got a load stud here. This is holding the weight of the lintel and all the roof above that window. And you can see following that stud down, there's no blocks below that stud to transfer the weight down. Back in the day when they built this house, I'm guessing you didn't have to do it, just because the timber they're using is a lot harder than the pine we use these days. So what's happening instead is this bottom plate is spanning the weight from that joist to this joist here. And you can see the joist here is completely crumbled away. There's nothing holding that bottom plate. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if our whole roof had sagged down slightly in this point here. So I might slide this joist on this side. And I think what I'll be doing is actually going through and cutting most of this one out. I don't really like that broken up joist being there. And since we've gone on the opposite sides of the existing joist, we've got a 600mm center here, where the rest of the house has actually been done at 500mm centers, which is a bit interesting as well. But what I want to do is just throw this bit of F17 that the original owners had right in the middle there. And that's going to help support our flooring and also really help support this load stud. So this is a pretty straightforward, easy fix. That's all the termite damage fixed in the subfloor. There wasn't much to do, but we do actually have one more small issue that we need to fix before we start straightening the subfloor. And the issue we have is the old timber floorboards haven't been cut back directly on the joists. I've cut the flooring back exactly where the old tiles finished. What that means though is, as you can see, there's nothing supporting this corner. I don't want to put too much weight on that and start to sag it down. So what we have to do is go through and put a joist in here to pick up the existing flooring, and then obviously we need something to pick up our yellow tongue flooring when we put it in. And we've got another piece of F17 that we can use. I'm just going to slide that straight through there. Same thing, I'm just going to sit that there for now, and we can shoot it on and pack it up when I go through straightening all the floor. We don't have to worry about anything where this doorway is. You can see I was able to cut back the flooring half on a joist. And the other one we have to have a look at is where the slider is here. And to be honest, I think we're okay where those joists are. You can see our yellow tongue is going to hang over about 30mm, and our other sheet flooring hasn't actually been nailed down to that joist that we see there. Now, the reason they've got the double joist there is for the walls to sit on. So it just worked out really well that we're cutting the flooring off in the middle of that wall. And I think we're going to be completely sweet just to nail the flooring off on those two joists. What I can do, since none of this has been nailed off, is I'm going to lift that up, get some liquid nails down on the joist under the floorboards. I'll need to go through and just face nail a few nails in there to hold this flooring down. And then obviously same thing here. We'll glue this one down, shoot that down. That's going to be a nice solid join there. She's honestly not too bad. We do have a small, yeah, we've got a small little rock here we've got to take care of though. So this oven is obviously going as well. The reason I left it is a gas oven, and I need a licensed plumber to come through and disconnect it. The plumber's coming tomorrow. He's gonna disconnect the oven, rerun the gas, because we're gonna have the new oven on this side here. And there's a few little things we're doing with the taps. We're moving some locations, but I obviously have to leave these joists. We can't straighten them now, but we'll just go up to where that flooring is, and then tomorrow we can get that out. And then when that's gone, I can obviously get into that corner, straighten those joists too, and yeah, we'll be flying. I just realized I probably don't need to be doing this to such a great detail on this side anyway. We're gonna have a cabinetry going through to about here. So all these joists under here, they're gonna be hidden. We're not doing tiles, we're not doing anything. In this corner, this joist is up only by a couple mil. Barely even noticeable if it was in the center of the room. And since I can't get the planer all the way up to the bottom plate, I've been going through with my chisel, trying to make it as perfect as I can, just to realize that this is a dead space. I'm probably gonna do it anyway. It's just gonna be good knowing that our floor sheets can sit down nice and flat. And then if anything changes in the future, at least we know that this floor is level and it's good to work off. That feels good to shoot it in. We finally actually added something to the house. We're finally building something after so many days of just ripping things apart and ripping more things out of this house than I wanted to anyway. It feels good to get started. I had a feeling that this may have happened. What is that? Is that 7 mil? We've got one joist in the middle of the room, and it's quite low, yeah, the entire way through. So this whole joist here is about 7 mil lower than all the joists to the left and the right. So what I might do is grab one of these studs, and I brought some timber that I was going to use to start framing these walls up. But what I might do is slide it next to that stud. Actually, we're going to need to give it a small check out for where that wall plate is. I'm just going to mark that now. Right, so back to what we're doing. I'm going to slide this stud in here, and I'm just going to laminate this stud next to our joist at the right height. So this stud's going to be sitting up about 7 mil higher than the joist. It'll be at the same height as all the other joists around it. And since obviously this timber isn't as strong as all the other joists here, I'm going to be going through with bugle screws and screwing this to the existing joist. Okay, so I'm all done with the subfloor now. Everything's nice and straight, and now it's time to start laying down the sheet flooring. All right, the first thing I want to do is jump right into this corner here, and I'm going to butt into the bottom plate of the external wall, and we're just going to do a datum line just to make sure that that first run of flooring is straight. So I'm marking a meter. I just want to make sure we've marked out far enough that we get around this wall here, and I'm just going to do the same thing here. I'm going to mark a meter. And for this one, we're just going to drive a nail in. And that is so we can hook our chalk line over that nail and flick a line. Sweet. The full sheet would have worked perfectly to this old termite infested joist. So what do we have? We got 3, 3, 10. just going to check how we're looking for parallel with that line that we flicked. And we've got about one, is it hardened? It is. We've got about 197 on this side, and over here we've got about 196, and I reckon I can kick that in a couple mil. That didn't actually move. Oh, it may have gone a bit too much. Yeah, about there. That's good. So what I normally do is just go through and I'll get a few nails per joist for the sheet flooring. I've always done it this way. We've gone quite heavy on the nails, and then I'll still come through and want to get a few screws in the sheets afterwards. All right, and then we'll jump over to the laundry. Just cut a sheet for here, and that's 1610 tight. I want to make sure these walls are parallel, which they are. 1610 tight. I might take 5 mil off that. We'll go 1605. Now we need to make sure we get that same 197, which we had for that first sheet. So we need to go in a fair bit on both sides, I think. And over here, 192. There we go. That looked pretty straight, which is a good sign. Now we can do the next sheet that actually goes around this wall here, and it's going to tile the flooring together. And for that, I'm just going to use a bit of an offcut. I might need to draw a small picture because there's going to be a few measurements that we need to get. Now firstly, these should be the same. If I measure from the sheet, the sheet to the end of the wall, got about 122 there. We've got about 125 on this side. It looks like the bottom plate's actually been cut in the angle though. So I think our sheets should be good. We're going to keep it 126 on both sides. So we've got 1600 to 1705, and I need an overall. 3/6 does not work. So we're looking at 32, we'll go 32.53. See how this goes. That's a good start. So about half of the floor is done now, and we've done as much as we can before we got to start playing around with these walls. The reason we want to stop here is because these walls are sitting straight on the joists. So I could go through and cut all the flooring hard to where these walls are going to go, but the problem is I want to change where the walls are going, meaning that once we rip these walls up, there's going to be these 90mm gaps in the flooring everywhere, and it's going to be a bit rough and ugly to go through and fix. So what I'm going to do is take a break on the floor, and we're going to turn our attention to these walls. Now the reason that I didn't pull these walls down during the demo is because I need to jump up into the roof and install a hanging beam. And what a hanging beam is, it's a beam that goes over all the ceiling joists to help hold them in the middle so they don't sag over time. What I'm going to be doing is putting a hanging beam up there in the roof to hold all of our ceiling joists up, and then we can go through, get rid of all of these walls, finish the flooring, and then I can go through and build all the walls that we need to build. The hanging beam that we're putting in is technically going to be temporary. Once the new walls get built in place, they're going to be holding the support of the ceiling joists, but we're going to be leaving that hanging beam up there, and I'm going to be building it so it can stay there forever as well. There's actually going to be a fair bit of work involved in renovating this house and moving the walls around. Not only are we playing with this area here, but there's a few doorways around me which I'm going to be turning into sliders. In the laundry over there, I'm going to be adding in a cupboard. So we're going to be chopping, changing a lot of walls around, adding a few lintels, doing a fair bit of work, and we're going to go through all of that in the next episode of the series. Anyway, thank you for watching this episode. Hopefully that next episode will be out in 1 week. It's a pretty full on schedule right now. I've still got other jobs going on that I'm trying to get done during the week. I've got a few days here and there to do the kitchen renovation. Obviously behind the scenes, there's a lot of planning. We've had the plumber come through, we've been looking at cabinets, we've been ordering sinks, we're getting everything sorted. And then on top of all of that, I've got to try to sit down and make time to edit these videos as well. So life's pretty crazy at the moment. I'm loving it though, it's a lot of fun. I'm just hoping that I can stay on top of the edits and these videos can keep rolling out. Thanks again for watching.